What's up guys, it's your favorite Kiwi coach. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be another client before and after video. In this video specifically what we're going to be talking about is, hey Kiwi coach, why don't you like the cross the line club shaft position? Everyone's teaching it, like why aren't you teaching it? Why don't you like it? This video we're going to explain all of it. Let's go do this thing. So you're probably thinking to yourself, Kiwi coach, you're just a hater. Like you just don't like these Japanese golf instructors. You just hate Japan. That's the reason why you don't like to teach the cross the line club shaft. If you were to teach your clients the cross the line club shaft, they'd be so much better, blah, 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 blah. So in this video, I'm going to kind of talk about really that criticism and really specifically focus in on what's called variables and how if you start to really add up these variables on the downswing, as well as you have really large range of motion variables, which we'll explain here in a second, I think it's going to add an incredible amount of complexity to your golf swing, which will be very difficult for you to control, especially if you're an amateur golfer who is only hitting like 400 golf balls a month. You're probably not going to be able to control it. So let's get into kind of this top of swing position of this client, show you the before swing, and start talking about some of these variables. So as we take this client up to the top of the swing, yes, we can see he's crossed the line at the top. Now this client is by no means the most severe case we've seen of cross the line. However, yes, he has crossed the line. So what does this mean? Well, if I'm crossed the line at the top here, and I took this cross line position and actually maintained it all the way on the downswing, I think everyone here can easily imagine that you would either miss the golf ball completely, or if you did hit the golf ball would go way off to the left. So what does that mean? Well, it means you actually now have to flatten this club shaft before you start to lower the club shaft. So that is the first variable of a cross the line club shaft position, is you have to have that flattening motion. Now, because you are flattening from a cross line position, you have quite a bit of range of motion to actually move that club head until it gets into the correct position. So that means while you're moving in transition at a fast speed, you have to be very precise with how much you are doing it versus how much your hands are moving down. If you move your hands down too quickly and you haven't got to the correct position yet, you're going to be incredibly steep at position 5, and you're probably going to have to continue flattening from P5 to P6, and you're probably going to get that weird little looping action, stuck feeling, hit a lot of shots out to the right, or flip hook it off to the left. So that means the next variable is really that patience variable, right? You have to allow that thing to flatten before your hands get right around the shoulder height. Ideally, you want to have it in the correct position. If you don't do that, you're going to really struggle. Now, the next variable, which really is the third variable, is you have to now stop that flattening motion, right? Because if you continue to flatten all the way down into impact, the club head's going to be so far behind and underneath the hands that you're probably going to struggle with a low point behind the golf ball, entry point away from the inside, and again, you're not going to hit very good golf shots. So that means at some point when you get into the correct club shaft position, ideally, hopefully right around shoulder height, you now have to apply a steepening torque to counteract that flattening motion so that it then stops, right? So that is kind of the third variable. And again, as you're moving at a fast speed and as that club head is moving a large range of motion, it's very difficult to apply the correct amount of torque to stop it. And then for most of you guys out there, you might apply too much of a torque and actually start to steepen the club shaft, right? So it becomes very difficult, and that is the third variable. Now from there, as the club shaft hopefully is in the correct position around shoulder height, you have to lower the club shaft, and then eventually sometime after position 5, now you have to steepen the club shaft and move it out towards the ball, and that would be the fourth variable that you have to control. So as you guys are probably seeing at this point, for a lot of you amateur golfers to do all of that successfully every single time relative to kind of how good you want to be, it's going to be very difficult for you to do. You're probably not going to be able to do it, and the main reason why is you just don't have the time to practice it to really perfect it. All right, now versus, if we go take the after swing up to the top of the swing, let's go take a club shaft position that's more so our preference. Now, this client isn't 100% in a preference. We like to see it on the forearm. He's slightly not quite there. However, if you get more so our preference, now from here, I would argue that you only really have 2 variables to deal with as opposed to 4. Because the club shaft is already in the correct position here, you just now need to lower it down to position 5. And that means, that's the first variable though, you don't have to flatten or steepen, but it's still technically a variable, right? Because you do have to focus on just this lowering motion. And then from here, once you get just past position 5, then you have to steepen the club head out towards the ball. Again, that is the other variable that you have to control. So I'm not saying that my swing doesn't have variables. However, if you think about in terms of how many variables it has, as well as the complexity of the variables, you would note that it's actually a lot more simpler to do. And for you people out there who are not hitting a lot of golf balls, not practicing a lot, most likely it's going to be a lot more successful motion for you than maybe a pro who does have all that time to practice. So at this current time, I'm hoping you're kind of getting an understanding of the variables that you have to do when you're cross the line, as well as you're maybe starting to see why I don't prefer to teach cross the line for you amateur golfers out there. Again, I think it's very difficult. The next question that you probably have is, well, if I don't want to get cross the line and I am cross the line, like what are some of the checkpoints I should be looking for? Like what are some of the motions that would cause me to be cross the line? And that is going to be this next section of the video. So when we're looking at players who tend to get cross the line, there's really kind of 3 points to look at. One of them is going to be kind of the club shaft movement on the backswing. The second one's going to be kind of the hand movement on the backswing. And then the third one's going to be kind of the amount of rotation that you have. So let's talk about the club shaft because this client actually, is a good example of this. So as we take this client back, we're going to see that the club head gets pretty far inside at position 2, right? So if we go draw a circle here, we can see that the club head is behind the shoes, right? So very far behind. Now from here, typically when players do this, what we tend to see is, so that's it for you guys on YouTube. If you guys want to watch the full video, make sure to check out the link down below that is to our membership site. You can watch the rest of this video as well, get access to over 130 videos of golf instruction. It really helps out this channel and it allows us to continue to make content for you guys. Other than that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.